Hit me.
From Studio A in Arcata, behind the redwood curtain, it's time for...
Succotash.
Yes, Succotash, the comedy soundcast featuring snippets from comedy.
Soundcast.
And also interviews with comedians, comedian soundcasters, and other showbiz folk. And now, here's this episode's host from up the coast, the man who puts the X in Xbox and the tie on antisocial, comedy soundcaster, Tyson Saner.
Saner.
Thank you, Bill Haywad. Saluton, estes me, Tyson Saner, welcoming you to episode 343 of Succotash, the comedy soundcast. Established 2011, with regular weekly updates since 2020. We've been able to do that here at Succotash mostly due to the fact that I share every other weekly hosting duties with show creator and executive producer Mark Hershon, who brought you clips last week in episode 342 from the Soundcasts, Extra Nuggets, Hollywood Gold, and The Downside, and also a recent episode of Monster Party on which Mr. Hershon was a guest. You can find last week's episode along with our entire archive of episodes over at www.succotashshow.com, or if you are currently listening to us or have downloaded us from any of the streaming/downloading platforms from which you could do so, namely places like Apple and Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and many more, that would work as well. This week, I've got clips from the soundcast known as Life is Short with Justin Long, Synonation, and High Low with Emrata. I've also decided to include a classic fake advertisement from a longtime fake sponsor who does not exist except on paper and in the hearts and minds of listeners. This episode will likely post on Valentine's Day, so I've chosen a special one that, well, you can decide how appropriate it is to the season once you hear it. So without further delay, let's get to the clips. First up, Life is Short with Justin Long from Wondery. Now, I've clipped this soundcast previously for episode 273, which dropped mid-October back in 2021. Its show description says, "Is it just me or is time flying by? How do we make the most of our short time here on Earth?" That's what we're here to find out. I'm Justin Long, and I've been an actor for most of my life, so I'm getting used to getting inside the heads of the characters I play. But now that I'm getting older, I'm 43 now, yikes, I want to peek inside the heads of real people to learn how they find meaning in life. I'm also very curious what their favorite snack food is and what emoji they use most often. You know, the really important stuff. Every episode, I'll get personal with all kinds of people, from actors to musicians to deep thinkers who fascinate me. My brother Christian is on hand each episode to keep me honest and occasionally remind me about some of the embarrassing things I've done over the years. Join us, or if you have more important things to do, that's okay too. Life is short. So I've clipped the episode from January 31st, 2023 with Dave Franco, and an emoji, the type of which I will not reveal, as it is indicative of a specific bit of information contained within each interview. Sorry for being so cryptic. I try to be spoiler-free in specific types of circumstances involving symbology. TMI? Anyway, the episode description says, Dave Franco, and then in parentheses somebody I used to know, and Justin talk about their mutual love of cats, how he got into acting, and the benefits of working with his wife, Alison Brie. I should point out, Somebody I Used to Know is a movie that Dave Franco has just recently directed, starring his wife, Alison Brie. Clip I've selected is I'm talking a little bit about the movie and also being cat people. Putting out the fire. I don't know how the song goes.
I laughed when I saw the cat in your movie, when I saw that was like an integral part
of
Somebody I Used to Know, which is so good. I have so many questions about it.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get Alison Brie? What was it like? Was that difficult working with people? Ask. I did a movie with my brother, and we're as close as two people can be,
mm-hmm.
and well, maybe not as close.
How
it was. I mean, you're probably sick of answering this. Like,
no,
do you
not
guys
at all.
Fight?
No. This is actually the first interview I've done for this movie, so I'm still kind of
okay. Great. You'll get sick of it.
So no, we absolutely love working together. This is, I want to say, maybe the fourth time we worked together, but the second time in this capacity where I've directed
the
her.
rental.
Yes.
Yeah.
And We love it. I mean, it's funny because like when people ask that question, kind of the tone that they use when they're asking the question really tells you a lot about how they imagine working with their own partner.
Right.
And
that's
so
true.
there's a lot of people who are like, how was that?
Yeah,
And,
I know.
But for whatever reason, it just works great. And I guess it's because we just really trust each other, and I think she's the greatest actress on the planet, and it's one of these things where like I've always known how good she was, but then when I was in this position where I was, you know, able to watch her every day for a month and just kind of like see what she can do, she's really special in the sense that she can just really kind of navigate back and forth between comedy and drama so seamlessly. And
it's true.
Yeah, and so truly, like it was so invaluable for so many reasons. Like not only that she's just a great actress, but that just having this support system with me throughout, where I remember like, you know, during the editing process, I was in the edit all day, every day. And when you're doing that, you can kind of lose sight of like what the movie is. You can get too far into it. And she would kind of stay back and then come into the edit bay like like
fresh eyes.
Exactly. And, you know, she knows this movie as well as me. And so in those instances, she would like,
oh, that's great.
Kind of, I would almost lean on her more than me. Because
so she really directed it.
Absolutely.
But you guys wrote it together.
Yeah.
What was that process like, and where did the idea come from? Some of this stuff felt like it might have been very true to life, like in terms of her. I mean, not that she was a nudist at one point, but like
she actually was.
she was. Okay, all right. I was onto something. Yeah.
In a way, so the overall concept is not taken from our lives. We did not have to crash a wedding to be together, but there's a lot of little examples throughout that are taken from either our lives or friends' lives. And
wait, sorry, Dave, just to contextualize, I just want to tell people that it's about a woman who, how would you say she's a workaholic. She's a workaholic Hollywood lady.
Yes,
she's a host of this show, and the show gets canceled. And I'm so bad at this usually, but I'm going to try to be the host. Okay.
So yeah,
you have to practice. You're going to need to do this. So I'll let you practice.
She's a workaholic. She has a crisis with her job, so she goes to her hometown to kind of lick her wounds. And while she's there, she runs into an ex-boyfriend who's kind of the one that got away, and they have this amazing whirlwind night, and she starts to think like, oh man, he might be the answer to my problems. You know, I went down this path where I was really focusing on work, and I did not focus on my relationships. Yes, exactly. And so right when she starts to feel that, she finds out that he is getting married that weekend, and she decides to stick around. Things get weird.
Yeah. I like that you made the woman that he's set to marry, like, she's cool.
Yeah.
And she's, like, understanding. And it's not the typical, like, you know, because obviously there are, and you referenced this in the movie, there are my best friend's wedding, obvious best friend's wedding comparisons. But there's something, and I guess there's a little bit of that in that movie, but there's something about her that's so that you can kind of understand why those two might be together.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things where, you know, the synopsis that I just said, it's like I've kind of done this with both of the movies that I've directed, where the concept on paper might sound like something familiar, and it's one of these things where you got to trust me when I say like everything I do, my main intention is I want to try to bring something original or unique that people haven't seen before. And so with this one,
trust you.
And so,
no, it's true. I've seen it too. So it's like it goes in a direction that you think you may have seen, and then So we try to do that like within the execution, where like every twist and turn, the characters themselves, the music, everything, we are, you know, we're using what we know and love about the genre to kind of lead the audience down a certain path, and then hopefully trying to pull the rug from under them. Pull the rug out. Yeah. Speaking of the music, I was thinking, how the fuck, I can't imagine getting a Bob Dylan song.
Yeah.
There's some of these other, I mean, there's so many great songs. There's so many great musical cues. How did you get that Bob Dylan song?
That's part of
You're friends with Bob.
Sure. Yeah. That's part of the perks of working with Amazon.
Right.
Yeah. So
right.
they really
threatened to pull his subscription if he didn't.
Pretty much.
I love Amazon. Don't touch my subscription.
So yeah, I give them a lot of credit. I mean, we really fought for a lot of these songs, and with
it's great.
With every movie, but especially with these types of movies, like the song, it really sets the tone. The song set the tone, and we have
at least they really believe in the movie.
Yes, totally.
That's great. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I searched high and low for Dave Franco on social media, and I cannot find him. However, the movie is currently on Amazon, and Dave Franco's spouse, Alison Brie, who is in the movie, as previously mentioned, can be found on Twitter at all lowercase ALISONBRIE. So if you have any questions about the film or I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure that she necessarily wants to be bothered with every detail that you'd like to know about the film, but if you did, that's where you could reach out to her. And the host, Justin Long, can be found on Twitter at all lowercase Justin Long, JUSTINLONG. Christian Long is not on Twitter, but he is on Instagram under $2.72. That is all lowercase POODOLLAR, the numeral 7 and the numeral 2. And the show's website seems to be at wondery.fm, WONDERY.fm/Life is Short. All one word, all lowercase. Next up, Cinenation from Cinenation. Its show description says, the Cinenation podcast analyzes the histories and tropes of the film genres and why we love them. Very short and to the point. The episode I've clipped is from February 2nd, 2023. It features a discussion about the film When Harry Met Sally from 1989. It's a very in-depth discussion and somehow manages to never be uninteresting, but it does help to be interested in the subject matter, as I was. The episode description says, in quotes, you realize, of course, that we can never be friends, close quote, which is actually a quote from the film. For episode 250, Brandon and Thomas are starting their rom-com series with one of the best of all time, When Harry Met Sally. Listen as we discuss how the movie went from a basic idea to a classic of the genre. Short and to the point. Here's your clip.
Today, to get here, we're talking about When Harry Met Sally, released in 1989, written by Nora Ephron and directed by Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner, who we have talked about now 3 times on the show in the past year with his movies, with Stand By Me, A Few Good Men, now When Harry Met Sally. 3 movies of his incredible 5-movie run, and we've now talked about the first in the run, the last in the run, and now we're hitting dead center of the run with When Harry Met Sally. All 3 vastly different movies. And the cast of this movie includes Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, Carrie Fisher, Bruno Kirby. If you don't know When Harry Met Sally, it's 2 people who they meet once, they hate each other. They meet twice, they still hate each other. They meet 3 times, and they become friends. And then soon enough, their love for one another as friends develops into something more, and they are tempted to explore a relationship. And when they try it, everything goes wrong. That's the movie. And so, Thomas, this is one I think we've both seen many, many times over the years. Mm-hmm. So what's kind of your history when Harry Met Sally, and can we be, are we going to be biased this entire episode? Because I feel like I might be, is the thing. But I think I'm in the right with my bias, is the thing.
So this one I came to probably a little bit later in my rom-com journey because it is R. So it was one like I knew of, but I probably didn't see until I was like 13 or 14, as opposed to when I was like 8 getting dragged to see Runaway Bride in theaters.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was, so I had a very healthy respect for the genre at that point, but it was one that was always kind of built up as kind of being this big crossover. I think it was ABC used to do like a bunch of like AFI partner ups. They'd do like the greatest movie quotes of all time. Or, and
that was like 10-year run of AF. First it was the greatest movies, then it became like the 100 greatest laughs of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like the funniest
comedies.
scenes of all time. Yeah, I definitely had seen the deli scene like multiple times before I saw this movie. Mm-hmm. So yeah, by the time I saw it, I knew that it was kind of this critically respected rom-com, and it lives up to that. But was very familiar with Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal at that point, and then yes, it's something I've revisited many times since then. Mm-hmm. But I definitely I tried to watch it in a more critical light this time, so we'll have some discussions about that.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what you think of that, because it's one that I I kind of watch every year now. We've talked about this. I think when we talked about our New Year's Eve episode on our New Year's Eve look back episode on Patreon of how like When Harry Met Sally, I kind of say once you get November, you're in When Harry Met Sally season, where you're getting November, December, you're getting Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then New Year's Eve, and you kind of have all of that in the movie. And I know, and I listened to the commentary for this, and it was between Rob Reiner, Nora Ephron, and Billy Crystal, and how Ephron very specifically used holidays as part of the movie. And I think that's one reason why the movies had such longevity, is because of those holiday connections that people can put on around the holiday season. Like, oh, if this feels like a Christmas movie, this feels like a New Year's Eve movie, or a Thanksgiving film. And Reiner talked about how those are good fence posts, because it's also times where it shows you when you want to be around people, and it also shows when you're not around people, you're the loneliest. It kind of can feel like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this movie I probably came to in high school, because I feel like you said, I watched a lot of rom-coms growing up with a sister and a mom and we also we went to a lot of movies. I went to a lot of movies growing up. And so it's like, I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember seeing What Women Want in theaters. I was, for some reason saw it in theaters. I feel like I saw You've Got Mail in theaters. If not, that was a rental from Blockbuster, because it was Tom Hanks. But When Harry Met Sally, I think, was high school, and I think this was one that was very influential to me, especially as someone who wanted to be a writer, where the dialogue was snappy. I thought it was really fun. I'm a big fan of Rob Reiner, a big fan of Nora Ephron. I feel like for a brief time in my life, I saw myself as Harry, as his dark, depressed individual who would read the end of the book of a book he started, so I would be afraid or I wouldn't want to die and not know the ending of this book, basically, type thing. I felt like I was doing things that he did, and I feel like in my life, because what I think is so great about Billy Crystal in this movie is he's like the king of just the comedic look, like the deadpan look in this movie, where someone says something, he just kind of looks at them and then does like a turn. And I feel like I tried to do that a lot in my life, is the thing, thinking I was Billy Crystal as Harry Burns in this movie. But yeah, so I really love this film, and it is hard coming into it and trying to think critically of it. But I'm gonna do my best here, because I think this time I noticed when watching it, I noticed how efficient the movie is, like how the editing of the film is very it's fast paced, it's in and out of scenes usually fairly quickly, and someone asked Reiner what does Harry and Sally do? Like, we never see them like working and like talking about their jobs. He goes, oh no, they talk about that, I just didn't shoot it.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't interesting. And so they very much keep it in the kind of love storyline.
So I had a devil of a time finding the hosts on Twitter, but I did actually manage to do that. However, I would like to say you can find the show on Facebook at Cinenation, which I will spell once and then leave you to be able to do that later. It's CINENATION. And then on Instagram, it's all lowercase Cinenation, same spelling as before, podcast, all one word, Cinenation Podcast. On Twitter, it's Cinenation Pod. Now, in this case, the C is uppercase. The N in this, I'll just spell it. Capital CINE, capital NATION, and then capital POD. On TikTok, it's all lowercase Cinenation, same as before. And if you want to reach out to them through email, you can get them at cinenationpodcast@gmail.com. They also have episodes up on YouTube. And after a bit of digging, I found host Brandon and Thomas. Their last names are not that easy to find, but I did manage to find it because if you listen to the episodes, it's Brandon Sparks, who can be found on Twitter at Brandon Sparks 33. That is all lowercase BRANDONSPARKS, the numeral 3 and the numeral 3 again. And host Thomas Horton can be found on Twitter at Here's a Who, and that is capital HEARS_A_capital WHO. And any other links that I may not have mentioned, or perhaps all the ones I did, can be found at their link tree, which is at all lowercase linktr.ee/, and then Cinenation Podcast, all one word, all lowercase.
This portion of Succotash is brought to you by Henderson's Breakaway Trousers. For the first time available to the public, Henderson's Breakaway Trousers are the ideal solution for you, whether you are a man suffering from weak bladder syndrome or premature ejaculation. How many times have you been running late for that important business meeting only to find that your bratty bladder doesn't care about snaps, buttons, zippers, and belts? And who hasn't been on that date of a lifetime with that hottie that everyone wants to bang? You'd like to make a good showing, but gosh darn it, those pesky spermatozoa want out, and they want out now. Friends, when you're sporting a pair of Henderson's Breakaway Trousers, you've got the confidence to know that you'll be down to nothing in no time at all. And before you can say, Jack Robinson, it's bombs away, and you're good to go. Originally designed for the military, the theater, and jails, Henderson's Breakaway Trousers are available online and wherever fine pants are sold. Available soon in women's styles, too. That's Henderson Breakaway Trousers. And now back to more of Succotash.
Thank you again, Bill Haywatt, and happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Finally tonight, Hilo with Emrata, which is from, it says here, Hilo, talkback. Its show description says, "Hi, I'm Emrata, also known as Emily Ratajkowski. Maybe you know me from my work as an actress or model, or maybe you've read my best-selling book, My Body. I'm interested in marrying everything high and lowbrow by talking pop culture and happenings that may seem frivolous in a way that raises big questions. On this podcast, I'll be talking everything from politics, philosophy, and feminism to sex, TikTok, and relationships. Every Tuesday, I'll host intimate conversations with special guests, including celebs, incredible authors, close friends, and people I admire. In the week's second episode, I'll talk about whatever is happening in the world and what it's making me think about, including anecdotes, personal opinions, and ideally, some thought-provoking questions. Finally, you can subscribe to a third exclusive episode each week where you get to be part of the show. I'll go through your comments and answer your DMs. My hope is that this series will be a place where you can come to have fun and take part in thoughtful discourse. I've chosen a clip of the show from February 6th, 2023, with guest Amber Rose. The episode description says, Amber Rose rose to prominence through several high-profile relationships with famous rappers, but she has a whole lot more to say than gossip and rehash their history. Today we discuss how she has reclaimed the labels slut and bitch through her event Slut Walk, how she's raising her sons to respect women, classism, feminism, and racism, and what she wants to see happen with men and women when it comes to fighting misogyny.
When you came in, you're like, I want to talk about being an atheist.
I think the cool thing is that you can just not even have to put a label on what you believe. You know, that's my whole thing. I have the children's Bible for my kids.
I was going to say, how are you raising your boys?
Yeah, they can, I don't force anything on them, right? So Sebastian's best friend, Sean, he goes to a Catholic school. So when he comes over on the weekend for sleepovers, he'll pray before he eats. Wow. And Sebastian will pray with him. And I just let him pray. I'm not going to say, why are you praying? Who are you praying to?
Right.
I just do whatever makes him feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And then as he gets older, he can figure it out.
Also, when you're trying to force something on your child, it's almost like the cursing thing. If you make it so that it's no cursing or you can't pray or whatever, then your kid's going to be especially what the hell, you know?
Yeah, well, that's why I feel like religion is abusive to children. It's the same thing.
Because it's brainwashing.
It is.
Yeah.
You're essentially telling your child that they have to live by certain rules or they'll burn in a lake of fire.
Yeah, that sounds abusive as hell.
It's abusive to me. That's how I feel. So
that was your experience with it?
Yeah, guilt.
Mm-hmm.
For
so much shame and
being
guilt.
A human.
Yeah.
And again, that's how it started. That's when I had questions, and then I realized I don't believe in any of this bullshit, especially the Bible.
You wrote a book called How to Be a Bad Bitch.
Yes.
And I've been saying that I'm in my bitch era because I'm finally single and I'm 31 and I'm a mom and I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah.
And I love using the word bitch. I think it's a reclaiming of a word that has been used as an insult in such a way. Is that how you feel about it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just all the derogatory. I mean, I'm a self-proclaimed slut and I like don't have sex.
You don't have sex?
No, I hate sex.
Why do you hate sex?
It's like, I'm just like, it's so accessible, and I don't want a penis attached to like a person.
You're like, I could do without that.
Yeah, I just don't want to deal with any toxicity, and I feel like nowadays everyone is toxic. I just don't want to deal with it.
Men.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
Women too, though, but...
For sure, of course, but...
Men, yeah. Yeah.
Word.
I'm good.
Yeah, I get it. I know a lot of young moms or like single moms who give up on relationships, and I get it because it's so, just even dating is so much work. And like, I already have so much energy going to my own work, like supporting my life, whatever. And then also just being a mom, that like going out on dates feels like excessive and unnecessary. But then I guess I'm kind of in your phase where I'm like, I have to like do it.
Yeah. No, I'm not in that phase anymore.
So how did you like transition? How did you get from that to being like going out all the time and like trying to stay with it?
That was years ago. Like, I just got out of a really, really shitty relationship. And so now I'm not going to make the same mistake I did before. I'm just going to like just focus on me and my kids. Like, I don't have to go and have a one-up. I don't have to force myself to date people that I don't want to date. I just don't, it's not real life. This whole shit, everything is so fake.
I mean, how do you even meet guys? Like in your position, like do you meet dudes? Are you on you're not on dating apps, obviously, but when you
I
were
am on a dating app.
Oh, what?
But
okay.
I'm on Raya, which is for like, you know.
I just joined Raya.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
It's cute.
It's all right. Yeah.
You gotta fluctuate the age and like you gotta, you know, figure it out. But it's cool. Like I met some cool people here and there, but I don't want anything. I just want to travel and work and be with my kids. Like honestly, that's all I want.
Yeah, I know it's a weird thing. I think when you're younger, you don't even think about like what happiness is. You're just like, I should be with someone and that'll make me happy.
Right.
But that's so not true. You can actually like totally make yourself happy.
Totally.
And especially when you have kids and if you have your own money.
Right.
Then like what does a man offer?
Exactly.
And if you don't like sex, there's literally nothing.
I like sex when I love someone. And I feel like I don't have a heart left. I don't. Like my heart is just with my kids. I don't have enough to give to a relationship.
Yeah. How long have you been single?
Only like 3 months.
Okay.
Maybe.
That's so fresh.
Yeah.
Damn.
But a week later, he was in another relationship, you know? So again, for me, I don't feel like I need to do that.
Of course. Well, I hate the game of like trying to one up the person
it's
and
bullshit.
Like, yeah. Well, it's also exhausting.
Right.
Like if you're dedicating energy to that, I'm sorry, but you're not dedicating energy to your kids.
Exactly.
And like, what's the point? Like your kids will make you happy.
Well, that's the thing, right? So like if you're mentally trying to heal, right? But you're still focusing on that person or trying to make that person upset, you're still not working on yourself.
Oh my God. I mean, my friend, she was like, oh, damn, like you've been really getting your ex back. And I was like, it's so funny you say that because I'm not trying to. I'm just like living my life.
Right.
Because I was responsible for that person for so long and thought about them so much. All I want to do is not have to consider them and think about them.
Exactly.
So even when it comes to like getting them back, I'm like, that's exhausting. That would be me putting more energy towards them.
Right.
Why would I do that?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You can't focus your energy on somebody that just was not good for you. You just have to just
let it go.
Yeah. And just do you.
Yes. And that's ultimately how you're actually going to be happy. And if you actually are, like the perk might be that maybe the like living well is the best revenge, you know?
Right, right.
But you can't focus on that as the motivator.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
Would you want more kids?
Girl, fuck no.
Yeah. 2 is impressive.
I'm done.
Now, on Twitter, the show might be at Hilo, which is one word, all lowercase, HIGHLOW. It doesn't have a picture on it. It might not be official, but it does say Hilo with Emrata, a new podcast launching 11/1. So I guess the 1st of November. totally open to corrections and updates should more information come my way. Guest Amber Rose can be reached on Twitter at @DaRealAmberRose, capital D-A, capital R-E-A-L, capital A-M-B-E-R, capital R-O-S-E, and the host, Emily Ratajkowski, can of course be found at all lowercase Emrata, E-M-R-A-T-A. I would like to point out that Ms. Ratajkowski is the author of the New York Times bestseller, My Body, which was mentioned in the show description, which you can find by clicking on the aforementioned Twitter account, Emrata, or by hearing me say what it is right now and then typing it into your browser. So you can find it at smarturl.it, that is SMARTURL.it, /MyBodyEmrata, which is capital M-Y, capital B-O-D-Y, capital E-M, capital R-A-T-A. Welcome to the end of this week's episode. Hey, did you hear that a chunk of the sun, quote, came off, unquote? No, really, it did something like that. I only read the news about it today, and the source was a day old, so we're still here as of one day later. This episode will have posted about 3 days from now if the usual set of circumstances has occurred, and the following week, Mark Hershon will be back with episode 344, which I believe will be a chats episode if I remember what was said in episode 342 correctly. You know, between pandemics and natural disasters happening in this lifetime, at this point in time, I could really use a hug. Also, I just saw Encanto for the first time, and that was quite an emotional roller coaster, so yeah, the hug thing. Maybe you aren't the hugging sort. No worries, you do you. Aside from all of that, the function of the show has always been to provide the listener with a window into some listening options that they might otherwise never have known they had. So I hope that I fulfilled that in a way that you found interesting in any way, shape, or form, and that, as a result, you might listen again and or suggest us to others as an option for them to listen to. We would really appreciate that. We do this out of love. So once again, I've been Tyson Sainer, wishing you a happy Valentine's Day, asking you to consider visiting www.tysonsainer.com, thanking you for listening, imploring you to be decent to each other, and reminding you to please pass the succotash.
You've been listening to Succotash, the comedy soundcast, with your host, Tyson Sainer. Brought to you by Henderson's Pants and...
Imagine your company's name right here.
Rate us and review us at Apple and Google Podcasts. Find us on the web at succotashshow.com, on Stitcher, on iHeartRadio, on YouTube,
on SoundCloud,
and wherever fine soundcasts are streamed and or downloaded. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Succotash Show. Like us on Facebook. Email us at tyson@succotashshow.com or call into the Succotash Skype line at our toll call number 818-921-7212.
That number again is 818-921-7212.
You can also upload clips from your favorite comedy soundcasts directly to us using our direct upload link at hightail.com/u/succotash. Succotash is produced and engineered by Joe Paulino through the auspices of Studio P. Sausalito, the home of the hit. Our hosts are Mark Hershon and Tyson Sainer. Our musical director is
Scott Carvey.
Our booth assistant is
Kenny Durges.
Succotash is executive produced by Mark Hershon. Until next time, I'm your loyal booth announcer, Bill Haywatt, reminding you to please pass the succotash. Goodbye. This has been a Succotash Patch production.